Folks, we are live. Welcome to Talking Crit. I am one of your hosts, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. With me, as is every Wednesday night, is my once a week work spouse, Bad Mike Battellaro. And with us, frequenter of North Texas RPG Con. I don't know if Ben was there for the first one. I know I
I,
was.
I was there from number 2 on.
There
Yep.
you go.
We
Um,
invited number one, but you didn't come to number one, if I remember.
I was out of town that way. I was in San Francisco.
Oh, that's right. All right.
None other than Ben Burns, New Comet Games.
Hello.
Welcome, Ben.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
man.
always great to come on your show.
Thank you. Great. It's always great to have you.
Ah.
Uh, so, what have you been up to since North Texas, by the way?
Oh man, it's been a busy summer. So, I'll get to what I'm currently doing in a minute. But can I push what I did? But first was
Yes.
El Dorado Royale, my latest Call of Cthulhu book, and I had
Ooh.
one here, and I'm not sure what I did with it. But it's available on drive-through right now as a print on demand, or I actually have some copies. They're letting me sell them, which is something that I'm looking around because I'm looking for it because I thought I had it laying right here and I don't see it. But they came out looking great, and but let me go ahead and give you the insight on this.
Yeah.
I ordered both the premium art and the standard art for this particular for drive-through,
Right.
and you can't tell the difference. So just order the standard art one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It used to be that if you were full color, this was just my experience as a consumer, that they must have gotten heavier paper because the standard paper would occasionally bleed with the full color art. If it's not doing that, then that's awesome. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
I did not see any of that. And the premium art, I literally had to look at if you held them side by side, it was a little bit richer color. But if you didn't know they were two different books, you wouldn't be able to tell. So just order the standard one and it'll be great. Or you can wait and see me at a convention and buy it there because Chaosium actually gave me a special permission to sell my own. So, which is something they usually don't do for the repository stuff because I just put this one in the repository. So, yeah, it's a small modern day adventure that's great for one night, 4 or 5 hours, and it's a holiday, ghost story event, and
Right.
it's a lot of fun. And this is one I've been running for about a year, and I ran it at North Texas. I've run it for pretty much the last year worth of cons, and everybody's always had a great time playing in it. I don't think I've had a single person say, "Well, that sucked," but everybody's enjoyed it, and it's selling pretty well. It was in the top 5 on Chaosium's repository for a little bit, but then a bunch of Korean stuff pushed everybody out.
Well, all right. By the way, looks like we lost Mike for now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So for folks that don't know, we had a little technical problems getting the audio working. Once we got the audio fixed, Mike started having internet connections. It's his last night at the hotel where he's been for the last month because of renovations at the house. So hopefully Mike returns. He's not sending me a PM that he has any super issues. Oh, God help us.
Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully he'll be back on in a minute.
Well, maybe he's actually doing a reboot. Go figure that one out.
Oh.
See, I moved to Max only because I was tired of being technical support for my extended family because I was constantly getting. I've got a blue screen. Oh, I've got an update, but I'm afraid to do the update. I was just like, all right, we'll do this slowly. We're going to move everybody over to Apple devices. It's
there
just,
you go.
Yeah, it is just a little bit easier on a tech support. Now, that I've moved my parents, my sister. Um, I don't even own a Microsoft PC, and I wouldn't be able to tell you how to fix a blue screen of death. It's a hard reboot. So I no longer.
That's pretty much all you can do.
Yeah,
Well, we can. I will try to fill in for Mike as best I can until he gets
you're
back.
gonna play two roles for a little bit.
That's okay.
So actually, can we jump into your current Kickstarter, Ben?
Yeah. So right now, I have been asked for several years to release my Black Ridge Island adventures on as a full campaign book, and so I have decided to do that. I'm going to have two different versions of it. One's a 5e version, and then another will have all the stats and stuff you need for both for all of them: 1e, Sword and Wizardry, and the BX. So you'll be able to pick up either book, and it's we just launched. I think it's been 48 hours now, and we're closing in on 40% pretty quick. So I'm pretty sure it's going to fund. It should be doing okay. We got a bunch of people still, wanting to pledge. They just haven't done it yet.
Right.
Go ahead. Scroll on.
Could that be Mike? He went.
There he's back.
Oh man, I'm not gonna let Ben get on without me being on. My computer kicked me off, so I'm on phone, baby. I'm not gonna let this stop.
So anyway, we still got. I usually only run short campaigns. I don't like the full 4-week, 30-day thing. So I usually run like 21, 22-day campaigns. And we just launched this, like I said, and we're about 1,800. We're doing pretty good. So that's what the front cover of the standard book is going to look like. I have actually already talking with and designing the cover. We're going to do a special limited edition cover one. And I'm working on it already, even though I think that one looks awesome. But
I do like that cover. It looks really, really sharp. Now, so we're looking at between 250 to 350 pages. That's a sizable campaign. That's a full campaign book right there.
Right, it's a full campaign, but it's also Black Ridge Island can work as a sandbox as well. There's several adventures that aren't in the campaign that you can pull out and run as standalones, or you can, if you feel like your players are falling behind on levels, or if they just want to increase their levels before continuing the campaign, they can go off and do some other things. And it's so there's going to be quite a bit to it. And the reason for the range is there's going to be about 7 extra areas of interest you can go to. I'm going to have 3 of them fully done in the base book. As we hit stretch goals, we'll add more and more to it.
So hey, guess what? Now I have a house problem. Mike, you're in charge for a bit. I got to. Apparently, I just been told that remember that sewer problem I had a week ago?
Yes.
Well, apparently it may be coming back. So let me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's keep on going.
So Ben, a story here. So you didn't come to the first con, but Doug had bought your Black Ridge Island, I guess, off eBay. Were you selling off eBay?
Yeah. So these were just printed off on paper and stapled together and sold on eBay.
Well, so it said you live in Arlington or Irving at the time. I thought it was Arlington, right? I can't remember.
Arlington.
And so he's like, this guy's close to us. We need to get him to come to the con. I'm like, I've never heard of this guy. Why? He said because he's written this Black Ridge. I was like, oh, that's right. And the first 3 years we're desperate, right? We're desperate for guests. Like, oh, this guy wrote something. Okay, cool. And then, but you couldn't come the first year. But then you were there the second year, and I believe you ran Black Ridge at the second year of the con, right? I mean, you ran it.
Yes,
there.
I did.
You being in a boardroom at the Staybridge Suite or whatever, and you ran the Black. I mean the whatever Black Ridge. Yeah,
the very first part of it. Yeah, Adventurers Wanted. It was the name of the first adventure in Black Ridge Island, and I ran that. Yeah. And I remember that Mike and Elizabeth, I believe, were in that first game.
Yeah, Mike and Liz were in.
And I don't think Mike's played in one of my games since then. So let me tell you, there's a skill check you have to make, and it's really easy. And you just have to roll your dex or under. And he was playing a thief with a dex of 18. And he could not climb the rope. And he tried 5 times to climb the rope and failed every time. He got so frustrated. I felt so bad for him. Finally, I was just like, "You make it up."
I didn't want this natural ability.
What?
But yeah, so this campaign has been, or this adventure's been around a long, long time, and then you self-published it a few years after that, I believe, too, right? Because I think I've got a copy of it.
Right, just as a first edition. Right.
Yep. So you self-published a few years ago. So it's been around in one form or another for quite a while, but it looks like now you're finally giving it a really professional treatment.
Right. That was back when it was more just hobby and just, put it together so I'd have it. And I'm not going to print any more of those. It was only first edition anyway. So I'd like to, expand it. I've rewritten it now for 5e, and that's what I'm going to be play testing here this weekend. I'm going to be at the Lone Star Expo.
Oh yeah,
running it there. So
this is the first. Yeah, I'll be there. I haven't missed a year yet, but unfortunately, I won't have a table this year because I don't think I told you. I don't think you know, Ben. So we had some water damage to our. I'm staying in a hotel right now. We had some water damage to our floor. They had to rip up all our flooring, so it's just a mess in there. And so they okayed a hotel room for a few weeks. It just kept going on. And so while this is happening, we get word last month that they're going to raise the rent on the warehouse. The North Texas.
I heard about that.
They're going to double the rent. So we're like, we're not paying that. And so we had 30 days to get all our crap out, or actually 45 days starting from when they told us, which is the end of July. So I know you've been over there a few times, Ben. You would not believe it. It's pretty much empty at this point. We got about a week left of moving, and then we'll have everything out of there. So
goodness.
It's been crazy the last year. I mean, since the end of July, so the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's just been nuts. I have not been able to keep up with anything or really concentrate on anything or do anything. So I'm, I've been doing.
Did you really move everything, or did you throw a lot of that? Some of that stuff was just junk.
Well, we threw away about 3 dumpsters full of crap.
I believe that. There was some really cool stuff in there, but I'm not sure it was worth anything.
No, me, I'm a pack rat. I saved most of the cool stuff, but there was some stuff that Doug would just collect, like old computer stuff that was just. We had a bunch of Alienware laptops that were broken, like the screens were cracked, pieces were falling off them, and I guess he was gonna. Okay, I got the shell. I'm gonna make it nice. We just threw those away. I mean, Alienware computers are cool, but not when the shell's broken and it's just a mess. And,
oh yeah, no kidding.
And we had stuff like that. We had a lot of stuff like that, and most of the stuff that was good we saved. Moved all the shelves and everything. So anyway, that's been my last 3 weeks. So I'm saying all this because that's why I don't have a table at Lone Star Game Expo this year. I have a table the last couple of years. I just didn't have time to set anything up. We're still moving. I can't spend the time to, really work a convention this weekend because we only have 2.5 weeks left to move. So I'll be moving the next few days. But I will come there and say hi to you and say hi to everybody. And show up definitely because I love that. It's a nice little con. It's in Grapevine. It's they do a really good job. They do a really good job. And
it's nice. It's great for a local con because there's no hotel, so it's just you got to drive there no matter what you do. So
it's at a convention center. So you're at the convention center.
And, it's nice. I like it a lot. So
it's a good con. So what are you running at the the Lone Star Game Expo? What do you be running there?
Where?
At the Lone Star. What games are you gonna be running?
Oh, okay. So I'm running Zeta Complex Friday night, and then for those not familiar with Zeta Complex, it's a paranoia clone using Savage Worlds. So it's done really well, and it's still growing. We're actually working on another adventure to come out here pretty quick, and it's already written. So after this is over, we're probably going to work on that and put it out. And then Saturday night, I'm running the Dungeons and Dragons 5e, this one, the Black Ridge Island. And then, of course, we're
good.
doing some dino fighting. Always do some dino fighting. So.
Yeah, that's a fun game. If you don't know, that was the first really big cool thing you did was dinosaur fight. And so if you ever wanted to have dinosaurs with freaking lasers in their head fight each other, you got it. This is your game. This is a game you could actually really, because you could have dinosaurs with lasers on their head fighting each other. So
I think it's a great game.
It's a fun game. And
I've played it literally hundreds of times and never seen two games be the same. So
what's cool about it is that there's not, because I'm sure everybody asks you this, well, what dinosaur do I need to pick if I want to win? There's not one, is there? I mean, they all have advantages, disadvantages, and I've seen all kinds of dinosaurs win that, win the
dinosaur fight. There are definitely some that are stronger. I shouldn't say stronger, easier to play than others. But actually, the strongest one, if I'd say, if you're really good at it, the Stegosaurus may be a little bit stronger than the rest. But I've seen Stegs, score 0 points at the tournament too. It's a lot of it is your tactics and how you play them,
Right.
But they're are all capable of winning. There's not one that's incapable.
It's a very fun game. If you get a chance, definitely play dinosaur fighting. It's really cool. It's a really cool concept, and it's not that hard to learn. You can pick it up real quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Matter of fact, and this kind of upsetting me. All right. So we set up 3 games. 2 of them, the base game of dino fighting, where you come in, you play nothing with the dinosaur, learn the rules and stuff. And Sunday we set up one, and it's going to be the advanced game. You can take. We're going to have mutations and tech upgrades and event cards going on and everything like that. And nobody has signed up for it. And I think
what?
It's like Crassus Maximus, right? It's just one of those. You might as well go do it and have a good time. So if you're really looking for a wild time, Sunday morning, I think we have it set up for that. So hopefully we'll get a few takers.
Lone Star's kind of odd because I think it's more of a, like that's what a big convention I go to where I see a lot of mech stuff and a Warhammer and stuff. So that's a big con for stuff like that. And
well, they do a little of everything. There's a lot of role playing going on too, and there's quite a few board games, and then a lot of the miniatures. The stuff like that. Matter of fact, I'm jumping into a Car Wars game Saturday morning because I haven't played that in years.
Oh, are they the new Kickstarter stuff? Because that
I guess I don't know. I just saw Car Wars and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't played that in forever.
Car Wars, I'm in. Well, crap, I won't get any games there, but I'll definitely be there, and you'll be there. I don't know if probably some of our buddies will be there too. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to hang out.
Oh yeah, and Lauren will be there. You want to say hi to her?
Yeah, well, Lauren, my friend. Yeah, well, Lauren and her husband are great. I like them better than you. You know that, right? So
Everybody likes Lauren better than me.
Lauren is like totes adorable. I mean, she is awesome. She's a really attractive, cute girl who likes the game. There you go.
Oh.
So I mean,
no kidding.
Yeah. So I mean, and she's just really sweet. She's a really sweet lady. So
you should wait till she's playing something evil in a game.
I wouldn't play against her because she seems like that kind of person that would crush you like a bug. Game.
She will.
Last time when I talked to her in North Texas, she was bragging about taking you down in something. I don't know what.
I have no idea. Chances are it could be anything. She'd be saying, and we play games at lunch hours where if we all come into the office and we work
that's
together.
Very cool. Now that's very cool too. I think that's kind of a cool thing. So you told me this a few years ago and I just blew my mind. Where you work at, you all go in a room for lunch hour, you and your buddies, and you game for that hour while you're eating your lunch, right?
Yeah. Now we don't go in the office very much anymore, but when we do, we still, and we used to go in there and play D&D. We actually started a D&D game at work, and it's still going on today, but we just do it online now during our lunch hour.
That's a cool job. That would have been a cool job. I can think of lots of jobs where I got an hour for lunch, I ate my lunch, and 10 minutes later, I'm looking at my watch going, I got to wander around here, I guess, for 40 minutes. I don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
It would have been great to
Oh.
have a game going on or a bunch of games. How did you find everybody to do that? You start talking to people and they're like, "Hey, I want to do this,"
Well,
and
we
then
just got a small group together, 2 or 3 of us, and we were, just getting together, and we started with like games like Flux and Munchkin, little card games, things like that. And then next thing you know, we're playing a lot of different games, and then there ended up being 2 of us, and we merged together into one bigger group, and so then we started doing stuff like Betrayal and Mysterium, and games like this,
right.
and then I was
Now I
like,
should
y'all
say,
interested in doing a D&D game? And
well,
boom,
hey,
there it started.
you're an engineer, right, Ben? So I mean,
Yeah.
this is nerd city here. We're
Oh
talking,
yes.
this
Oh
isn't
yes.
this is like a bank teller convention. I mean, this is nerd central. So
Hey,
yes,
everybody in the room is an engineer.
yeah, there you go. So yes, it's very nerdy, but I think I just thought that was really cool. And so that's how you met Lauren, right? And met a bunch of other people
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
That is very cool. Yeah, I actually we told that story. I just blew my mind because I would have loved to game it. God, I can't tell you how great that would be to have a game at work too. So you're just
Yeah,
having,
we played Tavern Masters today, as a matter of fact. So
and you have to be pretty disciplined, right? I mean, you can't do like the usual gaming where you mess around for 15 minutes talking. You're like, boom, here we go. We got to play. Let's get going.
yeah, well, we sit down and we do our chat while we're like cooking our food and eating our
Yeah.
food, and then as soon as we're done eating, we start the game, and but we have our hour and we try to stay within it. We'll go a little over, but usually not. But it's fun. We're pretty relaxed office, so as long as we get our work done, that's the important thing.
For you, if you're just checking in, Eric is slightly indisposed, and he will be back as soon as possible. So we will.
And he left the screen in a kind of a in between spot.
I know.
Here.
I'm like, you could have left a picture or at least a link to your Kickstarter up there. Come on, man. Well, the Kickstarter link is in the chat, so if you look there, the Kickstarter link is there. I'm clicking it right now, as a matter of fact. And yes, this is your last few Kickstarters have been Call of Cthulhu, right? Because that's been kind of your bread and butter the last few years.
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu's been my bread and butter. So, but of course, D&D was my first introduction to role playing, like 90% of other people, 95%, and but I've been meaning to put this out as a campaign for a long time, just single book campaign, and just I felt like I had a good break to do it here. And so I'm doing these short modern day adventures for Call of Cthulhu right now. They don't take me very much time, and I'm putting them on the repository. So now's a good time to work on a good book for D&D, and decided to pull the trigger and do it. So
cool. Well, so this is another story about Ben. So because I've known Ben a long time. So I want to say, and I've told you this before to your face. I think your Call of Cthulhu stuff, especially, the quality is incredible. And the first few items I saw you publish that were self-published were very crude and
very crude,
not up to like really, really big standards. And so just the artwork, the quality, everything. It was just really, really crude stuff. It wasn't something that somebody goes, oh, I'm going to definitely run out and get that. It was sort of like, oh, I'll just read the PDF of that because the print copy is terrible. But you turned it around really, really good when you started doing your Call of Cthulhu stuff, and I think it started with Star on the Shore was the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
And
well, that's when I went professional. And if you're going to go professional, you got to do it right.
You went from it looked like a bunch of papers mimeographed and stapled together to this beautiful full color book with slick pages. I mean, it was amazing. So I mean, I give you kudos for that. You really upped your game, and then you ended up winning three Castles awards in a row, and I think a lot of that was because of the quality of your publications.
Well, thank you.
But a lot of people that do self-publishing, if you're doing a DIY or kind of, like you're just doing like an old school stuff, sometimes you don't think about quality of publication. It's like, yeah, I just want to get it out there and I just want to game, people to game with it. So what made you sit there and go, you know what, I'm going to make this nice. This is going to be not just a game to play. This is going to be kind of a work of art that you can look at.
I'm not sure. I just, it might have been you saying, I'd submit something and you say, this isn't quite good enough. And that kind of stuff is what always inspires me to try to do better. Right. And
Yeah.
I want people to be happy with what they get. And I got lucky in that I stumbled on this artist I had, Evagenie.
Yes.
Matter of fact, he's the one doing some of the artwork. He's the one who did the cover for Black Ridge Island and with the demon, where they're fighting the demon. And he's doing the cover for the special, the limited edition version as well. But I stumbled on him and for Star on the Shore, and he did Devil's Swamp as well. He's done a couple other things for me, and it's just his artwork is incredible.
The cover of Star on the Shore is amazing. It's as good as any Call of Cthulhu product that Chaosium puts out. That guy, I mean, that artwork right there sold that. And I saw that, I was like, whoa, how much did Ben pay for this art? this
I don't know if you can say, yeah. Well, luckily at the time, Evagenie was unknown. And there's the book, Star on the Shore. I happen to have one here handy.
There you go.
But yeah, I really like that cover. I've been told this, and what's funny is Evagenie didn't like the cover. So he said, he was like, let me redo it.
You're like, whoa, no, don't touch it. Don't touch
it. And I was like, no, you don't have to. I love this cover. And I've been told it's the best cover, that they've ever seen. Some people have told me.
I think it matches up honestly to any Chaosium quality stuff. And
right.
Speaking of Chaosium, now you do a lot of Call of Cthulhu stuff, and Chaosium has a pretty cool program how they do that. They let you do Call of Cthulhu, and so what exactly does that involve? What do you have to do to get something published? And then they'll advertise for it. I mean, they pimp your stuff and everything, which is kind of cool. But what do you have to? I've seen it put in their. Well, they have their newsletter that email.
They'll put it in their newsletter like once.
Yeah.
But I do two different things with them. You have the license agreement, which is nowadays they don't want to do any more licensing. Okay, they'll still do it with people they've done it with before, so I can still get a license if I want, but most people cannot. And they have the repository, which is what they really want you to use now. And anybody can put together something and submit it to enter in their repository, which means it goes up on Drive-Thru-RPG and they automatically get their cut, right? So they don't have to mess with. Because right now for the books I license with them, I have to send them monthly, quarterly reports and all that kind of stuff and deal with that mess. And I think they don't want to have to deal with that anymore. But the repository is pretty cool, but they still have a pretty high standard of what they want people to put in there. They still want it to look professional.
Your stuff is obviously high quality, but they can't have just Joe Blow going, I'm going to do a Call of Cthulhu module. It's got just something ridiculous in there.
Yeah, they'll look at that and go, no.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm kind of doing a little of both. That's why I'm getting some special exceptions that most people don't, is because I could have licensed this one and they were kind of like, we'd really like you to try the repository. So I was able to negotiate a few things out of that, and that worked out in my favor. So I'm happy with that. And I'll have some this weekend. So if you want to come by and take a look at it,
yeah, definitely.
It's pretty cool.
I think that's really cool. I remember when they did their monograph program, which I thought that was brilliant, but I've always heard they lost money on that. But the monograph thing was really cool too, because they print. I mean, of course, you get paid like $500 or something, and they made like 500 copies, and it was really crude, but it looked really old school and cool. And they would just go and they would have all these monographs of I
got a ton of those. So I love them. I think they're great.
The quality varied from okay to not very good. There was a couple that were really good, and those are the ones that got made that Chaosium actually purchased. And one of my buddies, Jason Williams, he did the Tibet one, and they liked that so much they purchased that, and he came out with an actual Chaosium version of Mysteries of Tibet. But that was cool. I bought a ton. I still have a ton of those monographs somewhere.
Yeah, I got quite a few of them myself. Started collecting them, and of course, John. I don't know where John gets all this stuff, but he comes up with a lot.
Do you see what they're going for now? The monographs, they're like $7,500 a piece, man.
Oh yeah,
because
the
stuff was never reprinted. It was only printed the initial whatever 500 copies or whatever, and then that was it. And then they you know.
So, well, now Chaosium can't lose money on this because they have you upload it to Drive Through RPG. They do have somebody who reviews the stuff and helps you get it to print on demand. But you have to sell like 250 copies before you can even let it be on print on demand. I got to waive that and go straight to print on demand, so that was kind of nice. But it takes. But then they just collect their cut. Besides paying that one guy's salary who kind of reviews everything, that's like their only expense on this. So for them, this is kind of a no-lose situation.
Yeah, they can't lose money. I don't. And well, when the monograph stuff came out, I don't know if you can talk about this, Ben, or not. I don't want you to get in trouble with Chaosium. But
I don't think so.
Well, this is the old management. This is when they're having money problems, and they spent all the Kickstarter money on on Orient Express and 7th
I'm not sure we want to talk about that on air.
Well, that's what I said. I don't want to get you in trouble, but they had a major financial crisis, and so maybe they were just running the monograph program wrong or something. But they all got kind of booted, and now they have pretty good management. They're doing really well there at Chaosium, so they seem to have turned that. I see Rick at a lot of cons, and
I was looking to see if I had a monograph here handy. If for those people who don't know what a monograph looks like, they're kind of black and white, and they have black tape on the back on the edge. But,
they're very DIY, do it yourself. They're like I said, they only printed. I want to say the number was 500. It might have been less than that, but it might have been 250.
Well, some of them are pretty much. I know they did some that were print on demand. But and those aren't worth as much. But they,
right.
But I really have no idea how much they go for. So,
well, they sell for pretty good prices because those completists, Call of Cthulhu has people that are completists. They have to get everything.
Oh yeah,
they can't find some of those early monographs because there was only X amount printed unless you were there. Because I was there buying them off of Chaosium site back in the day. Unless you were buying them. A lot of those came and went, and you're like, "Oh, when am I going to get this one?" I
missed it completely. Yeah,
yeah. We're not going to reprint that one, And so, and like I said, there was a few. The guy that did the Roman ones, he ended up doing that. They all ended up being published by Chaosium. The Cthulhu in Rome. I can't remember the name.
Oh, the Invictus.
Yeah. So those were monographed.
I got those. So it's real. I almost ran one of those at Chaosium Con too. I came really close, but I was flying and I was going to have to bring a lot of extra stuff to run the Invictus stuff. So I decided not to do it. So, but yeah.
That's a very cool setting. I wish I knew more about Rome, the Roman Empire. I would run Invictus. I think that's a very cool setting. That's something that I think Alyssa Fan runs Invictus, when she does her stuff. So, which makes sense because she's a Romophile. But anyway, so I just thought that was always really cool that a lot of people started out doing those monographs, and now.
So here's an example of a monograph called Cthulhu Rising.
Oh yeah, which is not a bad one. I have that one also.
I just I reached into a box and said, "This feels like one," because I could feel the tape, the black tape up here, and pulled it out.
Yeah, if you want. See how kind of crude it is, and it just kind of slapped together. And the thing is, what I like about the monographs is they
there's like no pictures in these at all. It's
they talked about a lot of ideas that normally you wouldn't pull Call Cthulhu book. Whoa. Back.
Hey, he's back.
Oh god.
We've been talking a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I am quite sure. So I don't have sewage coming out of my backyard.
Oh boy.
I do have it filling up the trap, which means the main line out of the house. It's not blockage under the house. It's a blockage leaving the house.
Oh boy.
So, and of course my parents are back, so it's up to my father taking the lead, and I love my father, but everybody is in his mind is trying to scam him. So should not have let him get on the phone with the plumber. I don't know if we're gonna get a call back tonight.
So more. Well, I don't feel as bad. Then I have I have flooding problems where they had to tear up my whole floor with a jackhammer and a miter saw and another machine that just goes boom. I mean, it's boom, boom. The whole house is shaking. I'm sure it's trying to work. And I'm like, I can't work. Its house is shaking. So I don't know. I think I might rather have that than sewage problems. I don't like sewage problems. I don't
No.
want sewage problems. That's
Well, let's
bad.
not talk sewage while talking about my stuff.
There we go. It's
No
your
trash,
stuff,
no garbage.
man.
People want
I
to
do want to answer Peter's question. He asked about the Dino game. You can get that on my website. It's newcometgames.com. So
and well worth the purchase. And you can play with kids, and it's just my grandkids like it. We haven't played in a while, gosh, but we played it a couple times. They loved it, so I need to pull it out again and see if I can get them to play it again. They're getting teenager now, where I don't want to do kids, so they're kind of the in between, where they don't really want to play a lot of the games they used to play. So maybe I can get them to play Dino Fighting again. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, that's definitely a teenager game. So.
Well, teenagers are real moody and weird.
Yeah, well, I still act like a teenager, so it works out.
There you go.
I was told when I got to 40, if I hadn't grown up yet, I didn't have to. So
nope.
I'm going with that.
Oh, nice.
And I'm 60 and I'm stuck. I am not going anywhere. This is me.
I'm right with you, brother.
I'm not doing anything else except being
Kind of miss that. I missed that group growing up. I mean, look at the graphics I have behind me. I mean, come on.
I mean, when your life is in games like me, you, and Eric, and you pretty much get our license. You're never really going to grow up, are you? Because you've always got. No. I mean, I'm cleaning out the warehouse and I'm finding all kinds of crap, and I'm miniatures and comic books and this and that. And then Gary picks up something from the ground. He goes, "I think this is yours." And so I'm like, "Oh God, how'd that get in the ground?" So he hands it to me. It's a coaster that Jason Braun drew on like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's an orc taking a whiz.
I think if you had just described it as an orc taking a whiz, we could have all guessed it was Jason.
And I said, "Oh, yeah, this is mine. This is mine, all right." And I'm like, "I don't know what to do with this. Do I bring it home and use it as a coaster? Do I?" So I put it in the midnight auction box. It's going to go in the midnight auction right next. Because I'm like, awesome. So we're not going to grow up at this point. I mean, that's that kind of stuff.
No.
Which we did. We had a good laugh on that one. That was pretty funny.
Oh God. So did I miss the whole Kickstarter aspect?
No, we kind of skipped over that and went back and talked about Call of Cthulhu.
I was waiting for you to get back. We could do Kickstarter stuff now. I wanted Eric to get back before we really delved into that too much. So.
All right. So.
Which, by the way,
I was saying the cover there was done by Evgeny Melishnikov. Anyway, he's the same one who did the artwork for Star on the Shore and Devil Swamp. He's doing the special edition cover too. It should be available in about a week. He's working on it right now. So, and then have a couple of other artists working on it. Keith Draws, who did all my cards for Visions of Cthulhu. He's going to be doing some art in it now. I've contracted with them. So we got some really good artists working on this book. I think it's going to be fantastic looking. So
yeah, it looks nice. It looks very professional, very slick, like most of your stuff does now. So that's great. I think that's really good. And I think it's a good idea you did it for OSC, because that's if anybody hasn't looked, the latest OSC Kickstarter is ridiculous.
Oh
yeah. It's a very popular system right now. The OSR is alive and well, folks, because OSC is absolutely killing it. They're over 1 million, right? I think they hit over 1 million. But my computer. I can't. This thing's.
I will check. Well, hey, the latest Horn World is already at 59,000, and it's got 41 days to go.
Jeez. 41 days. That's too long for a Kickstarter. But hey.
Dolanwood is just over $1 million, 1,060,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I think OSC is a good choice for a system because it's like I said, that's kind of. I mean, nothing against Swords and Wizardry, which I love Swords and Wizardry, but OSC is kind of taking that place as the go-to, OSR type system. I really, really think that.
Yeah, it's filled the I guess originally that was Labyrinth Lord, and then Labyrinth Lord fell to the side,
Yeah.
and then Swords and Wizardry kind of picked it up, and I think OSC has that ball and is taking it strongly. I don't think anybody's coming close to it right now, so it's a good thing to hitch to.
And what's cool is the audience for the OSR stuff is so loyal. They'll go out and buy this stuff. That's kind of like this. I'm on the Shadow Dark page too, and those guys buy everything Shadow Dark. Anything Shadow Dark comes out, boom, they're all over it. So, and I think the same thing with OSC. Pretty much anything OSC, the OSC dudes jump up and they all run out and buy it. So I think this will do well, Ben, with an OSC option. That's the option I'm going to choose on anyway when I buy it. So.
Well, OSC is basically BX, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, BX that's what the OSC falls into. So,
right, because it used to be BX Essentials before it was Old School Essentials. So, yeah, it's pretty much all one and the same.
So I'm looking, Ben. I want to ask you some questions about the Kickstarter. I'm backing it right now. I back the $50 softcover option. It's so some of the options I can add on. Storage of Black Ridge Island. The small book includes short stories set on Black Ridge Island. Who wrote these short stories?
So myself and my nephew Alex, who's a professional writer.
Oh, okay.
And so we're creating NPCs that when you're playing they'll be there on the island in the city of Black Ridge, and you can encounter them and do stuff with them. And so having stories. I actually recently read the what is it, Sling the Dragon, the one about the old TSR stuff.
Oh, right.
And I enjoyed the book. I know some people said they didn't like it, but I liked it. And one of the things that caught me was that they had they said they were selling there was this definite drive for people who wanted stories about the campaigns that they were playing in. I think we just lost Tenkar. Anyway. But so I thought I would add that, and we're having a good time writing some stories about it, and I think it'll be really enjoyable. So
very cool. Yeah, that's kind of a neat little added extra. I mean, but most of the time when people do our Kickstarter, my advice is always don't do extras because then you just have more stuff. But it seems like you're pretty on top of that. And a book of short stories is not. It's not like a T-shirt. Yeah. Or something weird like that you got to really
no this will be just an extra little booklet that'll have stories in it, and trying to keep them non specific on system and that kind of stuff, but they're probably leaning more towards being 5e-ish the stories, but there's but they they'll work with anything. The first one's about the one I wrote was about a necromancer who's running around, and he can't get into the Mages Guild because he's a necromancer.
those bastards.
Those bastards. So they sent him on a mission to prove himself, and it's a fun little story. But you find out some other really cool stuff. The first one Alex wrote, and it's already finished. The guy goes out and they're hunting demons. There's a demon portal that's permanently open here on the island. And so they go hunting for these demons because they make great sandwiches. So,
wait, demons make the great sandwiches, or demon meat makes a delicious sandwich?
Which one is it?
You'll have to find the story to run out.
I guess. Now I got to back that. I got to back that.
But then there's also the and the only other extra really add on is the map folio. A lot of people like having the map separate on cardstock and good quality cardstock, so they can have it separate from the book. So those are really the only two extras to go with the book. So,
well, I just backed it. I'm gonna get the OSC because I like. I like OSC.
Yeah,
Well,
and you don't have to decide that till we get to backer
Yeah.
kit, because I started to have them separated out, and it became too many different pledge levels. So
don't worry, Ben. I'm not going to suddenly love 5e in the next few months.
Yeah, I didn't figure you would, but a lot of people still like 5e. A lot of people still play 5e,
Yeah, we talk
and
about that all the
even
time.
if you're upset with WotC and you don't want to buy anything WotC, trust me, WotC's getting no money from this, so
Yeah.
you're not giving your money
Very
to WotC by buying
There
my
you go.
5e product.
No, very, very true. Yeah. And then that's what's kind of sad. And Eric and I have talked about this before. When this OGL controversy happened earlier this year, sales for all the 5e stuff, I know a lot of 5e Kickstarters tanked, like completely
Oh
tanked.
yeah,
Because
I
people
know
were
Bill pulled
out.
his.
And my thing was, don't blame 5e for WotC for WotC's stupidity. I mean, 5e is
Yes.
still a good system to use, and you could use it. It hasn't changed at all. You can play it, but you don't blame WotC's doing stupid things for 5e. 5e is a perfectly good way to play D&D. So,
yep. So, matter of fact, after I told you I started that campaign when at work, and we actually played 1E at the time, and it was Black Ridge Island. I played first edition, and we went all the way through the whole thing. But when we finished it last year, we started a new campaign. Somebody else DMing, and he wanted to run 5e, so I'm playing a 5e game right now, and it's I'm having a good time. I mean, it's still D&D. You're still doing the role playing. It's just the mechanics are a little different.
You just can't die. You can't die, but other than that, it's great.
You can die. You can die. Our DM's kind of nice.
Try.
We have somebody making death saving throws right now.
I'll take your word for it, because I've heard it's extremely hard to die in 5e. So I'm gonna take your word.
I think most people these days, DMs don't like to kill players.
I think that I would actually agree with you on that. I think that's part of
I think that's more the community at large as compared to back in the old school guys. It was like, oh yeah, I'm killing your character. Here we go.
Yep.
And here's how I'm going to do it. It's I think some people have gotten a little they don't like to die. But I killed characters in my campaign when I ran it, but we haven't had anybody die in this 5e one. We've had a few people making death saves, but usually you can get to them and heal them in time. So,
well, the campaign I'm running now is Dwarrow Deep, Greg Gillespie's Dwarven Dungeon, and they had
award-winning 3 Castles. It's a very good book.
Yeah, it was
it beat out my Corsairs, which I thought Corsairs was the best book I'd ever put out.
Well, I tell you what, there was some really good stuff in the 3 Castles this year. There was. I'm not saying the competition the last 2 years you won was not like awesome, because there's always good stuff in there. But this year it was like everybody took all the time during COVID and just really came up with some really creative stuff. So
I was very impressed by the quality this year. It was very cool.
You weren't impressed by the NE winners?
No, except
the
for
popularity contest.
Yeah. Actually, the games we liked, Vastin and Rivers of London, those both won Ennies. So people realize the quality of those, but obviously some of the other awards I think were idiotic, because I just think the Ennies is just too corrupted to ever be anything in the industry like, oh well, this is like the Academy Awards of gaming. No, it's not. It's the popularity of gaming. It's
now there's a they got the 6 judges or whatever, and they have to go through the 500 entries to pick out.
God,
and if your guys happen to get nominated, then it becomes a popularity contest, and how many followers do you have? So I do not submit to the Ennies. So
I think it's smart. I think it's a waste of time for a lot of, unless your game has created massive buzz somewhere. I think that's a good policy at this point, because so for years it was like Paizo would win or WotC would win. I think Frog got actually won a few times early on, but the big guys would win, like all the big awards. And then
because they have Chaosium says, hey, we have these guys who got nominated, go vote for them. And so they have their 1 million followers go vote for them, and they win.
Yep. That's
you don't even.
Yeah. But I mean, it's hard. when you have that many submissions, you're basically pulling the ones out of the pile that are the slickest and got the most buzz. You're not going for some little guys like, oh, this got a lot of critical acclaim. No, you're grabbing stuff that everybody knows about. And look, and you could game the system because Zach Smith gamed the system and he won a couple of years, and he bragged about gaming the system because you can. So yeah, the Ennies, whatever. I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, the Three Casts Award. It's a fun award. It's a great award. It's an OSR kind of award. But obviously, we don't have everybody in the OGL that submits stuff. I mean, there's some really good stuff over here that doesn't get submitted. I mean, we can't make people submit your OSR type module. But I think it's a pretty good. I think a lot of the stuff's been nominated or that's won is done really well in the whole scheme of things. I think there's some really, really good stuff in there. So,
yep, I agree.
I mean, any award like that is going to be. There's just too much gaming stuff out there. You're not going to be able to have okay, we're going to take everything account in gaming. This, like you said, they get like 500 entries of just all the stuff.
And how do you evaluate a product for a game system that you don't know?
Yeah,
right. And if it's like, whoa, okay, this is like an equipment book for, Tenkar's terrible RPG. I never played the game, don't own it, but this looks slick. It reads okay. Sure, we'll put that in the nomination pile. I don't.
It's kind of a weird nomination system, but even then, once you get past that, then it becomes strictly a popularity vote.
So, very much.
And so I'm not big on that
because
most people don't like me. I understand that. So.
I'm not naming any names, but a game that only sold 25,000 copies that got pretty much ripped in every review there somehow won a silver Ennie, which Skeeter predicted, if you remember correctly, Eric, a few weeks ago, that this was going to win an Ennie, even though it was terrible. I won't name any names though. I'm not going to name any names, but yeah, it's.
Oh, I'll name it. I'll name it. Radiant Citadel. And by the way, just so we don't forget this fact, a couple of years ago, WotC and Paizo made a very public statement, independently of each other, that they weren't going to be entering anything for the Ennies anymore.
They had already won
because they were sweeping the Ennies. All right, if they put a product in, they were getting a medal. All right, and they're like, listen, this is supposed to be for the gaming community at large. We don't need we have our share. We're stepping back. So why does WotC enter one product? Why does WotC
enter?
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I find it very suspicious in and of itself.
We found out when the print runs were released, not just any product, but a product that didn't sell very good. 25,000 copies is not good for WotC. That's low edge of the production. So yeah, we'll have to do a whole show on it sometime because it's just annoying. It's ridiculous, but there's no award that really encompasses everything. I like the Dragon Con awards because anybody can vote on it. You don't have to go to the con. Like we can vote on it. You just get online and vote. Vote. And I think over the years I've seen some. I've agreed with more than disagree with the Dragon Con awards. Now you have a gigantic audience voting. I think you have over 100,000 people that end up voting on those. So you get quite a cross section. But I think that's a little more accurate than 10 guys in a room or 6 guys in a room just going eeny meeny miny mo. At least you have real fans voting and saying, yeah, this is the one I want. This is the one I don't want. So.
Anyway,
what else did you want to ask?
Go for it. Ask me about the Kickstarter.
Yeah, you missed all. You shared stories that you missed, man. You missed all the stories.
I missed
all the stories. You're gonna have to watch. You're gonna have to watch this video afterwards to see all the stuff you missed when you were dealing with sewage. Your sewage problem.
The sewage problem is still existing. It's just that I told Rachel, go listen. this is the hurry up and wait part, right? Like you and my
Yeah.
mother just like start telling, like, catching up right now, right? She goes, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go back to my live stream because there's nothing I can do.
I might as well have fun with the live stream. Watch sewage bubble up in my backyard. Yeah, I'm with you.
So describe that in the dungeon room.
Listen, the dungeon. This dungeon has a privy, and this privy has an issue. Okay, and the issue is it's all backing up. So everything from the above floors are coming out of your. You know what? You could do that with the dungeon privy. But the
The
lower
ogres
level
had
dungeon,
burritos.
it's like you get down to the third level of the dungeon, you're like, characters want to know what that smell is. You're like, what is that smell? And then it's like, yeah, there's about maybe a half inch of water in some spots. Yeah, really? Yeah. Oh,
you
wait.
you could do a whole book about why Dungeon Adventures don't basically have places for you to go to the bathroom.
You go to the bathroom. It's full of orcs and monsters and everything, but no bathroom.
Some do, some castles do, but I don't think it's like the hard stuff's awesome because the hard stuff's very accurate and they actually have privies and stuff. But like a lot of that D&D stuff, you have a whole dungeon there, like, where did the people poop? I don't see anywhere. There's nowhere in the whole dungeon. I don't know what they were doing.
I remember some adventure back in the maybe it was in Dungeon Magazine had an audio in like underneath the privy, so the audio you basically feeding it your waste material, and that was instant garbage disposal.
That actually makes sense. That actually makes sense. So I think the first dungeon I think I ever saw a privy, and I think L2. The Trader's Knot or whatever it's called. I think that has a castle with privies in it, and I was just blew my mind. It's like what? And I know Undermountain has them, which is weird too. Undermountain has privies, and then what was another one? There was a couple, but for the most part, that was glossed over. Like, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to have anything about that.
Monsters don't poop. They don't poop. They don't pee.
I have a room in one dungeon.
They just stay in this dungeon room in a stasis until you open the door. When you open the door, they come out of stasis.
I have a room in a dungeon, and the entrances are too small for the monster. They had put it in there when it was young and kept it there, and now it's grown too big, and they use it as like a huge guard dog that cannot get out, right?
Oh, okay.
And they feed it. And in the room is a huge pile of it.
I like it. I love it.
Nobody's cleaning the cage. What's going on?
Nobody's cleaning the cage.
Didn't I tell you that was your job?
I like this idea. This is great. Let's have a little realism dungeon, damn it. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. You got a monster that can't leave.
Oh my gosh.
It's got to do its business, right?
Well, that was one of the aspects of old school D&D that I always had a problem with. Especially it was very evident in most Judges Guild products because you'd have like one room, there's 5 trolls, the room next to it there's 16 ogres, and the rooms next to it there's 8 giant centipedes. And I'm like, and then the room after that, there'd be an ancient red dragon, but the room's not big enough for it to go through the door. I'm like, how did you fly?
It was a 5-foot door you opened to get in.
Yeah, you have to open a 10 by 10 door, and there's a dragon, and they're like, that poor dragon, he's trapped, man. He can't get out here.
Well, that's the story behind like the Dwimmermouth playtest when they had the playtest material. This is a little peek behind the screen, folks. When we got the playtest material, I ran my gaming group through a bit of Dwimmermouth before it released. And the room with 9 rats and 2,000 coppers. 2,000 coppers, the rats counted it out, they neatly stacked it. I was like, what are the rats had no way out of this room. That they were just there. 9 rats, 2,000 coppers. So of course I was like, well, there was old bedding in here. Now the rats have all eaten it. There's about 2 to 3 inches of rat offal covering the floor. but if you search the rat shit, you find 2,000 coppers.
With the equivalent of 20 gold pieces.
Yes, and
Not worth it. Not worth it.
and Joe the lawyer wouldn't stop talking about that on his blog, and he was just like, "What the fuck?" He goes, "Rat shit and 2,000 coppers. These are really important rats."
And see, the problem was, for those that don't know, James Malzewski was trying to create a dungeon using methods detailed in the brown box. And so the brown box was just you roll wherever you went. But I think somebody mentioned finally that the percentages are really bad in the brown box. Like you'll have something like 60% of your rooms won't have anything in it. And that's not that's a very boring dungeon when you have like 60. So he was rolling. That's where he would get weird things like 9 rats and 2,000 copper pieces, which didn't make any sense because obviously those old rules for running treasure and monsters made no sense. It's just random, It's up to the DM, like make it, the DM to kind of say, okay.
Which I did. I at least added a little, but that was one of the straws that I think broke the camel's back on that one.
You could deal with that after that. You're like, I can't.
Yeah, I mean,
listen. And you notice it's never like 1,934 coppers.
No.
2,000 exactly.
And that's the whole thing too, right? If it was some random number, some odd number, you go, okay. But no, it's they what you rats do? They neatly stack them in piles of 100, 200 piles. Oh, come on, man.
They have them in coin rolls for
that's very. I would say for all the flack that James got, that's a lot of how those old, especially the Judges Guild stuff. That's how it was made. You read Teagle Manor, you read just some of the lesser known Judges Guild stuff, not the really good stuff by Jaquays. That's how it is, man. It's just random crap, and you're just like, why were there 5 trolls there, but across the hall there's a vampire? I mean, wouldn't there be something happen, and just like, don't worry about it. Don't just keep on rolling. Just keep going.
They play cards on Friday night.
It's a monster hotel. Just keep going. Just keep going. So that's where the term monster hotel came from. But yes, we have learned. So one of the things we've learned in the last 40 years is actual dungeon design. I mean, dungeons are actually designed now by people, and that was one thing that was not a big priority in the old days, was actually designing something that made sense. And now more often than not, the dungeons are really well made. I mean, I think the dungeon design capabilities have really gone up in people.
Well, not just dungeon design, but dungeon. Part of dungeon design is not only does it make sense inside the dungeon, but also how you design it for flow of play, right? So you get like something like Keep on the Borderland, where you have the Horseshoe Valley. I'm thinking of the right one, right? The Horseshoe Valley, where you have all the choices, right? As compared to the Railroad dungeon, right? And so those have a lot to do with, I think, better designed dungeons. If you have so many now that come out and they're just, okay, you enter this room, then you go to this room, and you go to this room, and they're just not nearly as good, in my opinion. So I think B2 was an excellently designed dungeon, but that's my opinion.
I always tell people that, if you took just pick 5 designers from that write stuff now. Let's pick like Ben Burns, Greg Gillespie, Jeff Talanian. Okay, let's just take you 3 and send you back to 1980. Within a year, you 3 would write the 3 best dungeons ever published.
Thank you.
So much. The quality has gone up so much the last few years, and the stuff we think is great really wasn't that great. If you read it, it doesn't. There's no design. The designs are really bad. Whereas nowadays, you read something, the design actually makes sense. It's actually good stuff. I mean, as much as I love Call of Cthulhu, and I know you probably read a lot of the old stuff, Ben, but some of that early Call of Cthulhu stuff was not very good. It was just what it was is they would take a Call of Cthulhu story, like a famous story, and they would disguise it and make a dungeon out of it, and it wasn't very good. It was like I'll give an example. Shadows of Yog-Sothoth is really a terrible adventure because it's a bunch of unconnected stuff that it's just vignettes taken from Lovecraft stories and all shoved together into this campaign. It's not good. And anything that you write, Ben, is better than Shadows of Yog-Sothoth. Sorry.
Well, good. But yeah, there are certain things out there that are pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I mean, we played it back in the day, and I remember liking it a lot, but I remember at the same time thinking, well, this was not a coherent dungeon. It's 5 different people that wrote 5 different things, and they all shoved it together. And this one's based on the, this Call Cthulhu story. This was based on this Lovecraft story. And so, yeah, it was just, that's the way things were. And then D&D is the same way. D&D, most of the early published D&D stuff were tournament dungeons. That they, this was
Right.
like the tournament or the
G series, the A series.
Yeah, and then they just went ahead and fiddle with it. Like, okay, now it's suddenly a campaign adventure, even though it was and that's like the A series is a good example because it's a really fun adventure, but but you can see the tournament DNA all over the A, all over it.
Oh yeah.
It's like if it was CSI and you had the blue light on, there's DNA all over that. From not that. But I mean, really, because there's because A3 especially, you're in the city and they don't describe in the buildings because your purpose is not to go in the building. Your purpose is to go from point A to point B to point C.
B.
So, yeah, so you have this really cool city full of pirates, and they don't describe the interior in the buildings because you're not supposed to go in any of them. So there's things like that, and then A4 begins. No matter what happened at the end of A3, you're in A4 with no weapons, armor, or whatever. You're in a volcano, and you got to get out. Which is a cool concept. That's a great concept, but it's an absolute railroad. It's a total railroad because there was a tournament adventure. That was the last round. So yes. If Jeff and Ben and Greg went back in time, they would rule the world. They go back. They're amazing. You guys are writing the best stuff ever.
Once in a while, a good railroad's okay.
I think that was the problem with a lot of the AD&D adventures. The AD&D adventures were all the tournament adventures, and the basic adventures were generally better adventures. Adventures for the home campaign. But yeah, I remember the slavers here going, how did I get from here to here? How do I bring my players from this point to? Do I just hand wave it? Same thing with the G series. It's like, I guess
the G series I really enjoyed, but it was kind of strange going from G1 to G2.
Yeah. Well, there was an explanation. There was a teleport. You found this teleport. Chain, and so that's how you get. Which, by the way, is a massive railroad. Like, hey, teleport to the next dungeon in the series here. The D&D I think matured when they kind of stopped with the tournament modules and stopped with the railroads and said, look, here's and I guess and probably the best example of one of the early ones was Ravenloft, because here's a castle, there's a vampire in it, but you don't know where he's at, and there's different treasures hidden around. The vampire can be in any number of rooms, and here's this giant kick-ass map. It's not really a railroad because you go in there and no two adventures are going to be alike in Ravenloft, right?
Right. So,
I mean,
that's actually what I'm playing right now.
Cool.
Yeah, we're having a good Strahd's Curse of Strahd. So, but yeah, we're having a good time. Just walking around Bavaria. I mean, it surprised me they kept a lot of the good stuff Hickman did there. So, but
that's good. Yeah, but I mean, that was the the adventure finally started being that where like, okay, now you have more choices than just A, B, C, and like, I mean, I love the G series. It's just that is an absolute 100% railroad, and that you're fighting hill giants, then you're fighting frost giants, you're fighting fire giants, and oh look, there's some drow down here. Now you're going to go after the drow. Nobody questions motivations. You don't say like, why am I doing this? So you're just doing it. You're just there. You got to go do it.
We were all murder hobos back then.
Some of us still are.
Treasure, man. That's why I'm down. I remember my brother, somebody said, I remember we went through D3 or G3. At the end, the drow run back across the river of lava down and one of my I can't remember if it was my little brother or Robert, they said, why are we going to go chase them? Let's just go back. Let's go back.
Let's go home.
We don't have to chase these guys. I don't care. I don't care what the drow did. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Like, I got more treasure than a king. Yeah, let's go.
we're going to build our kingdoms now. We don't have to. And so I had to make up some reason because whatever, I don't know, something. Yeah, that was the maturity of D&D when you finally got to stuff. And nowadays it's like it's an embarrassment of riches. There's so much good stuff out there. At least I think there is. I mean,
there's some really great stuff out there.
I love old stuff too. I understand nostalgia, but honestly, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to get in an argument and a fight with old school guys. Pretty much everything written in the last 20 years is better than anything written in the first, 5 or 10. Nostalgia aside, now nostalgia, yes, I love Tomb of Horror. It's fun. I love the G series. I've run the G. I love Village of Hoblin. I love those things, but I don't love them because they're really well written and awesome and great. I just love them because that was my formative years playing D&D, and I have lots of great memories. But they do not. Sorry, they just don't stand up to, If you put Star of the Shore next to Shadows of the Yogg-Sothoth, I'm sorry. Shadows of the Yogg-Sothoth does not stand up to Star of the Shore, because Star of the Shore has a freaking plot to it, and it actually, makes sense. Whereas Shadows of the Yogg-Sothoth does not make any sense at all. So, yes.
Well, I do like campaigns and dungeons and stuff that have a story behind them, and you're trying to, and part of the adventure is figuring out the story. So that's always good stuff.
Well, that's why compared to like one of the greatest Call of Cthulhu adventures of all time was written in the 80s, and that's Mass of Nyarlathotep. That's a great adventure because that has a great plot and great characters, and nobody did that back then, Ben. And that's why people remember it so well, because that was like 20 years ahead of its time. Nowadays there's a lot of Call of Cthulhu adventures that do what that did, but back then nobody thought to do that with a Call of Cthulhu adventure.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. It's just a great adventure. I mean, it's awesome stuff. And I bought the giant anniversary edition from me, that big giant box set, which is great because I love that thing. I could just read the Master Nyarlathotep. That's a very well put together adventure. It's a master class in dungeon design. Let's put it that way.
All right. Well, if y'all are out there listening, go back my Kickstarter, please. Could use some help. Could use some love.
I just dropped some. I just dropped on there. I'm gonna do soft. Again. Yes. I'm doing soft.
There's the link.
So, Ben, you do a lot of conventions every year. What do you have left to do this year? You're going to be at Lone Star Game Expo,
right? And then I'm going to hit ReaperCon. That's in two weeks, right after. It's.
I'll be at ReaperCon.
Oh, sweet! Thanks, Wizard.
But
yeah, so we got Lone Star Expo a week off. Then we're at ReaperCon, and then I'm going out to LongCon, but I'm just mainly just for fun and relaxation there. I'm going to run Black Ridge Island as a sword and wizardry, like all day Saturday. So we're going to start with first level characters and level them up during the day as we go through it. When the first session ends, if you play in the second session, you can keep your character, and if new people come in, they'll just keep the same characters and keep going. So we'll just have a handover and go. Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. So in a full day, I think I can get through the first 3 adventures.
Cool.
So,
how many adventures are in the campaign?
I have a table, but I don't know how much time he's.
Oh, well, it's hard to say because you can veer off. There's a lot of side adventures you can do, as well as stuff in the city. There's some adventures guilds. So if you feel like I don't think we're ready to handle the next session, you can go and do some more.
Level up. I got you.
Yeah, and you can level up a little. There's one adventure you just go in and you just touch part of this area and you get out right before you get killed. And so as you get stronger, you could go back there and do some more stuff there. There's a lot of sandbox elements to this as well, but I think the full thing will have 8 full modules in it. That is the campaign. And then there's like 7 other areas you can go to. So even if we don't get through all 7, I'll be releasing the extra ones later, individually. So they're, but that's part of the Kickstarter stretch goals is to add more of the side adventure areas in. So,
pretty cool. No, that's exciting. Looking
And
forward to it.
and there's going to be the full city
Very cool.
in it as well, and it's a big city with a lot of stuff to do inside of it. That's you can join guilds. There's a thieves guild where I have a whole test on how to join the thieves guild and stuff like that. You can ask Lauren about it, Mike. She actually went through it when she was doing it. But it's so there's a lot of things you can do inside of there, and there's some really dark secrets in the city that you can try to delve into and figure out as well. So there's a lot going on in the book. So it's I expect it to be about 300 pages, and it's going to be chock full of stuff. So should be good.
Very nice. Very nice. I don't want this live stream to end. That means I'm going to have to start adulting.
No adulting allowed. I got to go walk the dog still sometime tonight.
I think we're still waiting for the plumber to call back, which is not a good sign. It's 9:30, which means that at this point.
What big cons did you go to this?
What?
I'm so far.
Mike, are you lagging?
I'm lagging like horribly, and this is my phone too, not the internet. So I don't know what the problem is. I'm lagging like a beast.
You're lagging.
I'm lagging horribly. I was going to ask you, what big conventions did you go to this year already? Or what conventions have you already hit?
Who, me?
Yes.
You.
Oh, okay. So we actually went down to Alcon in Houston.
Oh, yeah. Houston.
I always like that. That one's a lot of fun. They're not sure if they're going to do it again this year because they're doing some renovations or something. And then I like ChupacabraCon. I did it. I know y'all have some issues with them, but they're still a good con.
We did North
Texas.
Texas.
I went up and did Chaosium Con. So that was.
That seems like a really cool con. I'd love to make it there. So did you drive or fly there?
I flew. It's too far to drive. I'm never driving that drive again. That's too ever again.
That's like 2 12-hour days or something. That's a long drive.
It is insane. I flew up there, and Bill and Ben Barsh had a table right next to mine. So I was there most mornings, and they kind of covered my table for a couple hours because it was weird. They shut down the vending hall at 4, but but one of their game slots started at 2, so it was like 2 to 6, right? And it was like, but they're going to shut the vending hall at 4.
They got to get that straight.
But they did a great job. They helped me out, and then I got to run a whole bunch of games. They even got to play one, and I actually played a couple and had it was just nothing but Cthulhu all weekend, so it was pretty cool. Alyssa was there and Jack, and Guppy and all them guys. So it was a lot of fun just hanging with them.
That looks like a really fun con that I've got to get to one of these days.
It's worth going up for. I may go up there next year, not as a vendor, just to go up there and just chill with people and, network, so to speak.
Right.
I spend so long in the vending halls, I don't get to get out and do things with people,
And that's important. Garrick and I talk about it all the time. That's why I'm going to have a blast at LongCon this year, because I mean it's good to go to a con that I'll have a good time at ReaperCon too, because I'll be and plus actually even Gamehole, because I'm not running the con or a table. I can actually go there and have a good time and do things.
Right.
Yeah. But for me, it's kind of, if I'm not there helping promote the business and make money for the business, it's tough for me to justify the time to go. So the wife gets all kind of,
It's a little antsy when you're not making.
Yeah, the president of the company frowns on it.
You got to bring back a wad of cash, otherwise you can't get in the door.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. Do y'all have anything else you want
to? We talked about call. Yeah, I don't know unless you want to hit anything else here. What's your Kickstarter after this? What are you going to be doing after this one?
Oh, this is going to take a while to finish up. So I'm gonna
I'm
be
always
working
looking
on that. But when
I
it's
look ahead.
done, right, looking ahead. Well, Vicky. Gosh, and I can't remember her last name. I'm terrible with names. Um, and she used to do the paranoia stuff and um, uh, Ganera. She was at uh, North Texas this year. Anyway, and she's really gotten into the Zeta complex and has been
Okay.
helping me develop the one I ran at North Texas called you can't just walk into Maldor, but it's a great little adventure. It's really too big to be running a con, but we're running it anyway because it's Zeta complex and who
Right.
cares, right? And it's a ton of fun. So that may be the next Kickstarter we do. So we're looking at that next. I also want to follow up with this, with whatever adventures we don't get into the main book of Black Ridge Island. I'd like to follow up with those adventures afterwards and get those in pretty quick. The next couple of Call of Cthulhu things I'm doing, I think I'm just going to do with the repository because they're just small modern day stuff. It doesn't tend to be as popular, so I'm not sure I want to do a full contract and everything with.
None of your
Yeah,
best stuff. Yeah, don't put your best stuff in there. Definitely keep that held back.
So I always busy, always doing a lot of stuff. So.
Don has a question for you, Mike. Does something called Onto the Devil's Skillet sound familiar?
Yes, that is a something that Tim Cass published and ran at North Texas. Actually, I think he ran it at Gary Con first, but we published it. We published I'm not, my internet's so slow now I can't look it up, but we published a digest version. I believe it had 75 to 100 copies, so it's probably extremely hard to find. Now where did he hear about this or get this at?
He was from 2010. Yeah, that's a while back.
Yeah, that's our third con, or no, that's our second con. Yeah, that was our second year. Yeah.
Don's
So
what
Doug would do is what Doug would do is Tim Cass at the time was kind of making a big comeback in gaming, and he had all these ideas he wanted to publish. So he would run games like Gary Con, Gen Con, whatever, and he'd have this game. And so Doug was like, "Hey, if you want to publish, we'll make 100 of them. So I'll give you whatever, $500 or whatever, and then we'll just publish a Tim Cask adventure." So we did that for a few years. We published quite a few Tim Cask adventures. We published Temple of the Weaver Queen. I mean, there was a bunch of stuff that was first published at North Texas. But yeah, Devil's Skillet was one of those that he ran at North Texas and that we published. So very hard to find. If you find a copy, probably go for a pretty penny on eBay.
Probably would.
Yep. And so James Bond crawled in here.
Yeah, James snuck in.
By the way, James, looks like James has got I had some posts of James. He's got something going on. We may have to have him on the show pretty soon, Eric. I've
seen that.
It sounds to me like.
Was it the White Box Compendium? If I'm calling it the wrong thing, James, you can beat me later, but not now. By the way, the update is we'll get an update from the plumber in the morning.
That is the update. Update coming.
They're gonna send back the original. The plumbing firm's gonna send back the original plumber that spent the 3.5 hours a week ago, and what went bad this time is not what he was brought in to fix. It's the other half that he inadvertently looked at it, went, "Holy shit, this is backed up too. Let me see what I can do," and he cleaned out some, and then his machine conked out because we kind of killed it. And then it was like, well, it's better than it was. Well, he probably bought us a week. So.
Let me tell you what else happened. I'll tell you what else happened this week.
Nice, James.
So Sunday, Eric, I'm driving to we're picking up stuff for the warehouse and moving it to the new place, and I'm driving on the road, and I hear a boom. and I've got this giant hole in my windshield, glass everywhere, a softball from a there was a softball world where they run tournaments across the street. Some guy bashed a home run ball and hit my car as I was driving it. Right.
Oh, jeez.
Lucky it didn't kill you, man. Those things.
Well, the guy looked at the car and said, Kia's, luckily Kia's are really well made. It didn't go through the windshield. It hit it, shattered it, and then it bounced off. And they make windshields really good now. They don't, but there was still glass everywhere. But yeah. Lucky it didn't kill me. It was a baseball.
Yeah.
When it softballs, I don't think go that fast. But yeah, so then I had to bring my stupid car and get a new windshield this week too. Another deductible down the drain. It's just been a ridiculous last 3 weeks. I tell you, it's ridiculous.
Oh, that sucks.
Apparently for you too.
Adulting sucks, man. Adulting sucks. Well, Ben, we let's see. What do we have? We had audio problems. We had Mike's internet problems.
Yeah,
we screwed
my plumbing issues. We had a comedy of errors today.
I'll be back to my regular digs starting next week. So we'll have Ben. Next time we have Ben on, it won't suck like this. So.
Ben, we'll have
great.
You
Thanks for.
We'll have you back sooner than later. How about that?
Yeah, you should. I love coming on talking old school stuff with you guys.
I feel bad. It's true. We just screwed Ben over so bad.
Yeah.
Listen, it was just
we're getting the word out. What do you got? 5 people watching? So
but you'll catch people on the replay. Well, probably by this time tomorrow, we'll be 150 views. Before the week's out, probably about 250 views.
You'll do okay.
Yeah, we have a decent tail.
I think I asked this, Eric. Did we cover any? Is there any current events worth covering today, or in the game world, or did Watsy not do anything stupid this week?
Oh no! Watsy, of course, did something stupid.
Oh, okay.
I'm
shocked.
Please share.
I'm shocked.
So they actually updated their guidelines, or they mentioned it that. They're not going to be using AI art going forward for Dungeons and Dragons products.
Okay.
And they're making it explicitly clear. However, they make this announcement about D&D products, and then somebody on the what's that card game called again? Magic the Gathering. Yes. Someone on the Magic the Gathering side of things.
Well, Mike.
Hold on. I killed the old you.
Okay. My phone was about to run out of power. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm back.
Yeah. So somebody on the Magic the Gathering side of things said, "Oh well, pretty soon, maybe in a couple of years, we'll be using AI to write Magic the Gathering cards and mechanics."
Oops.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, because the right hands know what the left hand's doing over there, Eric. Come on.
I mean, what you knew when they specifically referred to Dungeons and Dragons, that they were kind of like,
not magic, just Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, the word on the street is they've been using AI art on Magic the Gathering cards for years, especially for the backgrounds.
I believe it.
Oh, Tom. Yeah. Oh, I just noticed Tom was here. Yeah. Look, I'm going to tell you. This is an unsolicited plug. Tom's Convention ShireCon makes the best shirts. I'm serious. They make better shirts in North Texas. I said it. Okay, I said it. Their quality of shirts is. I love the ShireCon shirts.
Yes, so here, I'm going to tell you a secret about the ShireCon shirts that doesn't apply to any other gaming con or gaming buff shirt. I can wear it. I don't get choked down at my neck. And
yeah, look at this. Yeah,
that's why when I did my Tenkar's Minion shirt, it's a limited run of 2 shirts. I did a V-neck. I know V-necks are only for like women apparently when you want these shirts, but I did it in a V-neck because otherwise they choke the shit out of me and I don't want to wear them. So
I got a big neck too.
But the ShireCon shirts are very comfortable. They're cool. They seem to be wicking. You don't like feel like you're walking around in a pile of sweat. or probably in my case, it'll be sewage soon. Who the fuck knows?
Oh. Well, yeah. So kudos to the shower concert, and now the Nortex shirts are very high quality, but I always feel like they're really heavy material. And being in
they are
Texas, you
heavy.
don't want anything really that heavy. Yeah, they're very heavy, and so they're good
June
for winter.
in Texas is not time for a heavy T-shirt.
No, they're great for the fall, winter, but yeah, summer the Nortex shirts all go in the back of my closet. They usually don't get worn until wintertime because they are heavy. They're much heavier than normal shirts. So
let's see, and what else did Watchy do? Oh, so buried in their spring update. Remember when they had like that whole gathering of fools? You know, when they brought everybody in. Well,
right.
Buried in that, which I surprised that I didn't read it when it came out, but Rob Conley read this, and apparently buried in this is Wizards talking about how they're going to open up their own marketplace on D&D Beyond.
We kind of suspect that, though.
Yeah, and that wasn't suspected. They're like, it's going to take time and internal discussions. It's going to take. They got to figure out: are we going to buy out DM's Guild and bring that over to D&D Beyond, or are they going to buy themselves out of DM's Guild to get out of whatever contract and start up something new? I mean, they've been consolidating. You know, we saw that when they picked up D&D Beyond. So,
well, that's why next year is that's why this is the year of flux and nobody knows what's going on because we don't know their full master plan until next year, and they're going to reveal whatever they're going to reveal. That everything's going to go digital.
Well, no, they've already said it. So when Chris Cox from Hasbro gave the quarterly, bullshit to the investors, one of the reporters asked him flat out about the D&D movie, the loss on that, and he went flat out and said, "Hey," they asked about Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, "The future of D&D has always been digital, always been digital." And then he throws around some bizarre numbers of there are 80 million D&D players. Some weird.
right.
He's got to be off. But there are 800 role players. But when he says 800 role players, you and I and Ben are all thinking tabletop. No. He's talking computer gamers. And they're seeing that Baldur's Gate is going to bring people in. And when they start talking theater of the mind, and he mentions theater of the mind. And again, for you, me, Ben, theater of the mind is we're playing at the table and the DM's explaining. No. Yeah. Theater of the mind for them is you're playing at the VTT and you're watching stuff, and it's your theater of the mind because you can move your minis on this. It's not the theater of the mind that we think of. They're reinventing and redefining theater of the mind, and they are fully invested in D&D being a digital system, digital product.
Here's the I guess
they
the
tried
issue with
this
that.
before, you know,
Right.
and it hasn't worked.
Wait, Gleeman? Are you talking Gleeman?
Well, here's the thing. So Ben isn't also a retailer. I mean, he works conventions and he has stock that he sells. But the problem is, how much stock could you sell of, let's say, Chaosium if everything was digital? You wouldn't sell any Chaosium stuff. So there's a million Bens out there that aren't going to be selling any 5e stuff, Eric, because there's not going to be physical copies of it. Or if there is, it's not going to be enough to actually stock your booth with. Are they just going to completely abandon their physical audience? Because I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like they're just saying, look, we're just going to go ahead and do this, and we're really not going to be doing that anymore. I mean, that was fun for 50 years, but we're going to move on now.
Yeah, there's no market for it now. Right?
Well, here's the thing. All right, and I first they increased the price of physical books, and then the following month they went from if you pre-order a bundle, you get the digital. You can get the digital bundle. You can order a book or get the digital bundle, and the digital bundle, the digital part arrives 2 weeks before your book goes live. and then that following month, there were only bundles. You can't order a physical book as a consumer directly from WotC without getting it bundled digitally. So they increased the price of a physical book, effectively $20, because the digital doesn't cost them anything extra to ship. It's already done.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you have to have the digital before you even make the physical.
Yeah.
right. So and digital has very little to no cost in overhead, and there's no storage issues. You don't have to warehouse it, right? You don't need to print new copies. You don't need to ship it. You don't
Sure.
need to
Yeah.
inventory it. So the more they can move to digital, the more they print their monopoly money or whatever. This is what they see, and they're coming from Chris Cox and Cynthia. What's her last name again, Mike?
The Microsoft lady
Yeah,
that works for
Williams.
Yeah.
Like the last
Yeah.
person that ran
Yes.
TFR to
Yes.
the ground.
Cynthia Williams. Yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to Lorraine, it's just maybe related by. But,
Kindred
but
spirits.
yeah, I mean, the current leadership understands subscriptions, understands digital, understands. No, we don't. You can't buy a box with Microsoft Office and a disc. No. You got to download it. You get a code on Amazon, and then you download it. You're not getting it physical.
And they're not interested in catering one bit to the old school guy who remembers how things were done 30 years ago. That's not in their game plan, because that's not something that's going to make them money. And I think, you know what, this could work out though, because it's going to work out because the OSR right now, as we've seen by Kickstarter, it's strong. The OSR is strong. If they want to abandon the print market, OSR guys will take it up and say, okay, we'll do it. And I think everybody will be happy. Both sides will be happy. The newer guys will have all their digital whatever, and all the old guys, as long as they keep the OGL alive or use whatever methods they are to publish the stuff, they'll be able to publish their old school stuff. I think they're going to have a huge divide here. I think this is where it splits. This is where the road splits right here.
Well, Don makes an interesting point. If they go 100% digital, they will play with the OGL again. Here. They're saying right now, where we know it's confusing to refer to 5e and D&D 1. So when 2024 comes up, D&D will be whatever we release in 2024. And if we are referring to an earlier version of the rules, we will see the 2014 rules. So as of next year, D&D 1 is the one. And I am going to make a prediction, folks. You can stamp it in your books. You can put a check marks next to it. Yes, 5e has been released to the OGL. I will make you a bet that the updated rules, the rule changes, the new classes, the new write-ups for the original classes will not be OGL. They will not be Creative Commons. All right? Mm-hmm. This is how they are going to. We gave you our old version of the rules. Play with it, wipe your ass with it, whatever you want to do with it, do with it. But the new one, if you want to write for the new D&D, not the 2014 D&D, the old version, you want to write for the new D&D, you got to play in our sandbox. You got to publish under the D&D Beyond and be within our.
Sure. Makes sense. Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Because we already know they want a percentage of those sales. Yeah. And they don't want third-party publishers like Ben coming along and writing a product compatible with one D&D. You might be able to save 5e, and you can do that now, right? But they're going to make those new rules, although they will work with older product. Older product is not going to necessarily work under the new rules. Like they're going to make sure that there's a compatibility issue to lock out anybody who's third party that won't be publishing under a specific right that we don't have yet.
No, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I think that, for the most part, I mean, yeah, there's some people that are going to be resistant to change, but they don't have old gamers in their game plan. But we're not people to them that make them money. And they have no nostalgia. They were not around for 30, 40, 50 years ago. They have zero nostalgia for how the game was played or anything like that. So it's not going to bother them one bit to dump us, because they see this giant market in digital, and that's the market they want. And I can't fault them for that, because they're going to make they'll make their money doing that, and they'll lose people, but they don't care. The people they lost, they don't care. They're people that aren't going to buy the digital product anyway, so they don't care if they lose me.
Right.
I mean, honestly, people like Eric and I have probably already been gone for years in a way, because we don't really play a lot of 5e and don't buy a lot of 5e. We're just going to be written off. I mean, it's not there's no use getting mad about it or anything. That's just the way business is going to be done in the future.
Yeah,
they're making a money decision. Like, okay, well, these old guys aren't making us money.
Yeah.
Well, like they said, they got to make it more profitable. It's not making as much money as Magic is, so they got to find a way to make it more profitable.
It's
this is
what they think. $1 billion property that's not doing $1 billion yet.
Yeah.
Well, the movie didn't. I mean, I liked it. I think we all
liked the movie. I thought it was great.
But it just, it costs a lot of money to make. It was a $300 million movie, or
was it 250 to 300? Then you have to put at least that much.
That's a lot of money
into advertising. So it's a $500 million investment.
Right.
So they wrote Watts. He wrote off $25 million from the movie.
It made sense because it looked good. The movie looked great. So I see where the money was, but maybe that wasn't the greatest decision for your first D&D movie. Maybe you should have kept that budget around 200 million, maybe 150 million, because they didn't make the money back, and because they didn't make their money back, the odds
probably won't make another.
Probably not. Yeah. It would have to be. I mean, the only reason I see them now making another is if they drastically cut the budget. You don't want it to look shitty. I mean,
that's what they did with the last D&D movies. The first one was bad, but the second one was a horror because they did it on an even smaller budget.
Yeah. Oh, so so I don't know.
They didn't have good. They always have the same basic story plot line. It's really like, seriously, guys, make a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Does it always have to be, Anyway, I feel like they've done the same evil wizard thing, trying to take over the world.
Oh yeah.
Every time they make a movie,
right?
It's just like
evil wizards get a bad rap, man.
They do.
Evil wizards. Justice for evil wizards.
That's not fair, man. Why don't we have an evil cleric or an evil fighter, evil thief? Come on, man.
Oh, no, that would be stereotypes. Come on,
give us an evil something else.
Yeah, and it's always the thieves that have to come save the day, right?
Why don't you give us some kind of a monster or something? That would be cool.
Yeah. So. Anyway, I feel like they could use a real writer to write it,
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, it'll be probably a million years before we, unfortunately, see another D&D movie. But I think the property, like I said, I thought they did a good job. I thought the movie was good. I didn't bother me, and I
enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was good. As far as D&D movies go, I thought it was the best one now.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to top that unless, like you said, unless they just go for something totally non-stereo. I mean, there was some really – look, I saw the movie 3 times. I saw it, and then we saw it with my grandkid, one grandkid, and saw it with another grandkid. I didn't – I wasn't going, oh, God, 3rd time this movie. Oh, my God. It was like, oh, cool. There was some parts to it I really liked. So, like, and that's the mark of a movie that you watch over and over again. So.
Evil wizards aren't given the credit they're given the wrong credit. That's the problem.
How dare you?
How dare you? All right, folks, we're gonna wrap this up because
Ben's got to walk his dog still. He's not walking.
Yeah, I still got to go do that.
Different shitty.
But it's actually like only like 9 degrees down
here. So.
Okay. Well, I'm saying, what is it 90 degrees yet, or is it?
It's Yeah, well, actually, today the high was only 95 or so. So
yeah, we had a cold front blow in today, Aaron.
Yeah. Now, tomorrow's supposed to be 107 again, and then Friday is supposed to be 109.
Yeah,
so
we had a slight breeze. Yeah, all my plants are dying. My yard's just dying. I can't save my yard.
I'll stay in New York.
My yard's dying. In fact, we have 10 days of over 100 degrees predicted.
When January rolls around,
go with God. You are paying for the sins of the world. Have mercy on us.
Have mercy on all of us. All right.
All right.
Thanks for coming on, Ben. It was great to have you, Ben.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's fun as always, guys. Y'all are
We'll,
great.
we'll bring you back with a non-fucked up live stream. How
We
about
promise. Yeah, we owe you one now. We definitely owe you.
Always.
For those of you who
Anytime,
checked this out, thank you very much. Appreciate the lively live stream and the chats. It always means a lot. Next live stream, it will be this Friday. I was a week off. I'm actually seeing Jimmy Dore next Friday. So we'll see if we can rearrange next Friday's broadcast.
So this Friday is Glenn or
It's Glenn. This Friday is Glenn. So we're not moving the night this week for the live stream.
All right.
Next week's in flux. All right, folks.
Got it.
Always be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. And I will catch you all on the flip side.
Later.
Later.